We're now joined with Laurence Young. We're going to be talking all about the Faversham Food Trail here at the Monday Night Community Show. Laurence, welcome back to the show. Good to speak to you again.
Thank you. Nice to be along. Windy evening, as you say.
Yeah.
Blustery up on the cliffs here.
So, to start us off, what makes leisure walking in and around Faversham special?
I think it's a number of things, Daniel. The first is the town itself. I mean, if people have been to Faversham, they'll know it's a really very historic town. It's hundreds of listed buildings, lovely cafes, streets, the creek side. So lots of nice places to actually take a stroll and take a walk around the town itself. But alongside that, the countryside around the town is really quite extraordinary, and that's the heart of this. In a relatively, or really quite small area, there's an extraordinary variety of countryside. There's the wetlands and the foreshore and the sea, the Swale, nature reserves along the side of the water, which is a unique environment in itself. And then just up country a little, there's lovely farming land, grazing land and fruit growing, hops, cereals, all sorts of things. And then even further up the downs, there's woods and dry valleys, and all of these things have a completely different set of characters. So it's a remarkably varied environment. And I think lastly, the thing which ties them all together is the fact that the town and the countryside are very much linked together. Faversham's pretty unusual and perhaps increasingly rare in this urbanised part of the world, in that you can get to this wonderful countryside from pretty much any part of the town centre within 10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minute walk, and you're out in some of this lovely countryside. Town's got a mainline railway station and car parks, as you say, so people tend to base themselves in the town and then walk out into this countryside. A very short, easy walk. Others actually go out into the villages and start from there. So it's a combination of things, I think.
So, Laurence, what sort of work have you had to do to set up and run the project?
Well, what happened, Daniel, was we ran a walking development project, as we called it, about 3 years ago, and we worked with Kent County Council and others, and we highlighted 4 walking routes locally, and that was very successful. We were able to calculate from feedback that we had thousands of new people coming to the area, sample the walks, enjoy the countryside. So we had a base of evidence and experience we were able to bring to bear on a new piece of work. So when that finished, the first thing we did was consult a number of people, including local businesses, about that project and what they felt the next thing to do was. And pretty unanimously they came up with the view that what we should be looking at was the excellent local food in the Faversham area. It's a great food offer. So we put the two things together, walking and food, and we came up with the idea of food trails. We worked up the details of the idea, and took that round to people who thought might be interested in supporting it. We had some really good interest, keen interest, and because of that we were able to put the project in place. The main funders for the project have been the Kent Downs and Marshes Leader, which is an EU fund. The team there have been very supportive, Kent County Council, Faversham Town Council and Shepherd Neame, but a lot of other people have supported us as well. So we got it all in place and we put a project team together, and that includes local business people and councillors, representatives from KCC, and we got to work. We've used the paths which were part of the existing routes there. They're all public rights of way. KCC have done a lot of extra work to bring all the routes up to a really high standard. They put new signage in, way signage, new gates, improved the surfaces and so on. And then we've used a professional copywriter and a local design firm, Amber Designs from Canterbury. And they worked with the local website team, the faversham.org website team. They put in place all the information about the routes, and now it's loaded up to the site. We're now working to promote what we think is a really good product. The routes are officially launched this week, and there's a series of free guided walks on offer, and the details of those are on the faversham.org website at faversham.org/walking.
Laurence, what's the thinking behind the new Faversham Food Trail project?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, there's increasing recognition of Faversham as a good walking centre, and it's already well known for good food and drink. So we thought it'd be a good idea to put the two together, hence food trails around the area. Each of the routes, the walking routes, they all go through really interesting, beautiful farmland, as well as nature reserves, woodland, and they all pass by some of the excellent pubs and restaurants scattered in the villages and the rural parts of the local area, as well as actually in the town itself. So people get to have a chance to see some first-rate, beautiful countryside and farmland. And of course, the countryside at the moment is particularly beautiful, blossom and bluebells and so on. Fantastic, really is great. And they get the opportunity to have some of the fabulous produce from the area too. The routes are for leisure walkers, those people who want to enjoy a good, enjoyable walk, 5 to 10 miles maximum, between 5 and 10 miles, but who also want to enjoy good places to eat and drink. So also if they're visiting, they can stay at one of the really nice B&Bs or the hotels which are in the local area. Most of the routes are fairly easy going. They're over easy terrain, fairly flat, so they're family friendly. And the longer routes have shortcuts, so people who don't want to go further than they might wish to can take a leisurely stroll rather than the route march.
We are talking to Laurence Young this evening. We're talking all about the Faversham Food Trail right here at BRFM on the Monday night community show. We're talking to Laurence Young, and we're talking all about the Faversham Food Trail here at BRFM 95.6. How many new trails are there, and where are they?
Well, we've put 8 new trails in. I mentioned there that they're all over public rights of way, so they follow existing routes. They're all to a good standard, but we've constructed, if you like, 8 new trails. They're all around the countryside, around Faversham, and some of them are in and out of the town and country walks, and others are solely in the countryside itself. 3 of the 8 are by the sort of foreshore, as it were. We've got one that runs around the creeks, Faversham and Orr Creek, and we call that the Two Creeks route, as that goes out from Faversham out to a lovely spot called Hollow Shore, pub out there, where the two creeks join and they flow out to the Swale, and then it comes back through Davington, past the old church there, back into the town. The second one, which is a brand new route, we call Earth, Wind and Water, and that goes again from the middle of the town. It goes out to Graveney and onto the seashore at Sea Salter. Quite a long route, and there's a shortcut for that one if you don't want a longer route, but the full route is about 11 miles. So you go out to Sea Salter, lovely farming countryside, a lot of modern interesting stuff going on, as well as traditional hop gardens. There are polytunnels, all sorts of things, and then you reach a wonderful point where you're looking out over the sea at Sea Salter with the wind farm on the horizon. It comes back along the seashore. And the third walk by the water is what we call the Walk on the Wild Side, which goes out along by Orr Creek, out to the nature reserve at Orr Marshes, and then back through the countryside through Luddenham. Very, very pretty out there. So 3 of the 8 are by the waterside. We've got a walk goes up through Ospringe, round to the Brogdale National Fruit Collection, past there and back into the town. Footsteps of Royalty and Romans, we call that one. And then right up on the top of the downs in the Sindale Valley, Newnham, Doddington, Otterden, the Sindale Valley Walk, fabulous there at the moment. Lovely bluebell woods, really looking splendid. And a new route we've put together with blossom in mind is called First Fruit, which we've constructed through Tenham, Norton and Linstead. And of course Tenham's really famous. It's the home of English fruit. It's the place where Henry VIII had the very first English cherry orchards planted, so you actually walk past those, as well as through up-to-date growing as well. The other 2 walks, Peasants' Last Revolt, which is through Bourton, round Dargate and Herne Hill, and the title for that route comes from the fact that the very last armed battle, the Battle of Bosenden Wood, was over at Bourton, up at Dunkirk, and the route goes close by there. Last route is A Land for All Seasons, and that goes up through the lovely Perry Woods and through the Sheldwich farmlands. It's the Sons Estate, interesting, quirky sort of aspect to this one, which is a lot of the agriculture around there is non-food agriculture, growing marigolds, lavender, all that sort of thing for cosmetics and non-food products. So quite quirky stuff. All the routes are on the faversham.org website. They're at faversham.org/walking, and there are free guided walks starting on Saturday, this coming Saturday, 7th of May, for each of those walks. Free guided walks, some of them featuring talks and special sessions. For example, the Land for All Seasons walk, which I mentioned, which is on Sunday the 15th, has a talk about the Sons Estate and the non-food agriculture there.
Laurence, which is your favourite walk route in the area?
To be honest, I've been dreading you asking me that, Daniel, because I'm biased, I know, but I like them all. I've walked all of these routes over the last year or so, and they really are fantastic, fascinating places to visit, and they're all different to each other. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to select 2 out of the 8, if I may. Both of them are new routes which we've put together. The first is the one I mentioned earlier, called Earth, Wind and Water, and that runs along a lovely route coming out from Faversham through the countryside to Graveney and Goodnestone, both passing the lovely little churches there, Graveney and Goodnestone churches, and out to Sea Salter, sportsman pub there on the foreshore, and back along the seashore. It's a great contrast. There's some lovely countryside. It may sound a bit odd, but the agriculture there is fascinating. There are polytunnels, there are hop gardens, there's grazing, there's a whole variety of stuff. Sunday the 8th of May there's a free guided walk on the Earth, Wind and Water Trail. That takes a slightly shorter route. I said earlier it's a long route. We're just going to do 6 miles, I think it is, but goes through the places I mentioned, apart from out to the Sportsman at Sea Salter. The other one is the First Fruit Trail. The First Fruit Trail, Tenham, Linstead, Norton, and it goes through some absolutely gorgeous countryside. Blossom this time of year is just fabulous, and of course it's got that wonderful historic connection with Henry VIII and the home of English fruit, the home of cherry growing in this country. Absolutely fantastic. The guided walk for that route takes place on Friday. No, it doesn't. It takes place on Thursday the 12th of May, so that's Thursday week. And a feature of that is that the lovely people at Nickel Farm at Tenham, that's more organic juices at Nickel Farm, they're giving a talk on their homemade juices, and they're giving free tastings of their excellent products, so it can't be bad.
Laurence, before you go, what sort of plans have you got for the future?
Well, we're working hard on the food trails at the moment, Daniel. That's getting a good response as well. Lots of people in contact, lots of people coming over to walk, so going very well. And part of the feedback we're getting is, as well as the walking side of things, which I've emphasised, people are very interested about the food product in and around Faversham. As I mentioned earlier, big agricultural area and lots of fine dining and good pubs and gastropubs and so on. So what we're thinking is that the food perhaps is the thing to focus on in the future. We all like food, we all like drinking, and
yep,
the two together. So that's what we're going to work on. We've started talking with a few potentially interested parties. They say they want to take it a bit further, so that's what we're going to see if we can focus on for the future. And lastly, I suppose just to mention for people who want to get some more detail about the walking routes, they're all loaded up onto the faversham.org website. So you just go to faversham.org/walking, and there's a wealth of detail about each of the routes, geocaching, which we've got on the 4 of the routes, and all the other goodies associated with it. So I'd encourage people to have a look on the site and come out for a nice walk and enjoy something to eat and drink as well.
Laurence, I'd like to thank you very much for coming along this evening.
Great pleasure. Glad we haven't been blown away.
No. That's Laurence Young telling us all about the Faversham Food Trail here at the Monday Night Community Show this evening.